Now think humans and think how humans donate blood. Now, minotaurs, think about what they could donate. Don't laugh, I'm trying my best to keep a straight face. Love you too. He donates his milk. But it's actually, you know, a breakdown of capitalism. And stop, you're going to make me cry. I wish I could show you the rest of that footage, but it all got corrupted and that's the only part I have left, and I clipped it because I was going to turn that into a short, and lucky I did because the rest of the video, it's gone. Zip, it's gone into the never never, and so that's the only piece of the video I have. Luckily it's my favorite part, that's why I clipped it for the short, but I hope you enjoyed it. That's not what this video today is going to be about. Today, I, Violet Jade, aka VJ of the Pomegranate System, am going to defend the instalove trope because I just finished reading Wildcard by Elsie Silver. Did I enjoy it? No. We've done a video ranking every Elsie Silver book, so is it the worst? No, but it's a C tier, and that was really disappointing. Because it's a book that we were really looking forward to this year. But it seems that Elsie has a pattern now where she just can't end a series on a high note. Like the Chestnut Spring series, we found out is getting developed into a TV show, and that's so awesome. But book 5 was such a letdown. I gave book 5 a Z. I didn't even put it on the scale. The last book of the Gold Rush Branch series, something I still struggle to pronounce, also wasn't great as well, and so I wanted to discuss it because yes, there are valid criticisms of the book, but when you look at the reviews that are 1 star, 2 star, it's just like, oh, this was just so insta-love / insta-lust, and I'm like, that's not a criticism. That's like me saying, oh, this book is so bad, it's so enemies to lovers, and it's like, just listing a trope, that's not constructive criticism because tropes exist for a reason, they're formulaic, writing is formulaic for a reason. The reason why this book didn't work is not because of the insta-love trope, and that's what I wanted to talk about today. And it's something that keeps popping up, and every time I see that kind of phrase of like, insta-love, it just really annoys me because it's always on romance novels. You never see that in sci-fi / fantasy / speculative fiction. Why? Most likely that book is a series and the love has time to develop over a long period of time. In a romance novel, they're normally once-offs and you don't have that many pages to work with. So if you want a slow burn in a 350-page romance novel, where are you going to get that? And the reason why I've got Dream Girl Drama by Tessa Bailey is because this came out February this year, I believe, and I wanted to review it and I just lost track of time and got distracted. But I loved this book so much. Tessa Bailey, we know her from Hook, Line and Sinker and It Happened One Summer. The Bellinger Sister duology blew up on TikTok, put Tessa Bailey's name in the booktokosphere, and everyone was talking about it. But now everyone compares everything she's ever released prior and everything she continues to release to the Bellinger Sister duology. We do that too, of course. It's natural human instinct to want to rank things and compare things. And so when I read Dream Girl Drama, which is, you know, a couple of books now past the Bellinger Sister duology, I loved it just as much. And I was so excited because I was ready to finish the book, go online, and then just chat with everyone else who loved this book. And this book ranked quite low compared to the other books in this series, the sports kind of romance that Tessa Bailey is writing, this sports romance train. And I was really annoyed because all of the criticism is just, oh, it's too insta-love. Yes, It is a romance novel, correct. Of course, there were other criticisms that popped up during this book, but again, I'll discuss them later. At the moment, I really want to focus on instalove. So if you are unaware, instalove refers to the concept of two protagonists meeting, and it's basically love at first sight. There's a very quick emotional connection. Instalust is when there's a very quick physical, intimate kind of moment between the characters prior to the instalove. So you can kind of have one or the other or both. You can have instalust but slow burn emotional kind of attachment, or the other way around, or you can have both at the same time. Romance novels, they're about 250, 300, 350 pages. Unless you're Anna Huang or Ali Hazelwood, in which case you need to write 550 pages. But normally they are shorter books compared to like a sci-fi novel. Like at the end of the day, you are telling a romance story between typically two people. So yes, they have to meet quite early on. And yes, they have to develop feelings for each other quite early on, because that is normally how romance novels are structured. It's not a criticism to say it's instalove, that's just how it works. And I think, I don't mean to be harsh, but if you continue to read romance novels and every single review is, oh, this is too instalove, oh, this is too instalove, oh, I hated the characters, they fell in love so quickly, oh, falling in love at first sight is so cliche. Yeah, it's cliche for a reason, and it's a human experience. And just because you might not have experienced that human experience doesn't mean other people haven't experienced that human experience. I know we mention our partner a lot on this channel, but that's because they're primarily one of our special interests and we love them so much, and they're one of the most amazing humans on the planet. But the reason why I bring them up in this video is because we have been obsessed with the concept of romance for forever. Like forever. We were a very solid Disney kid. We very much believed in fairy tale magic, fairy tale love, and then we kind of had this kind of culture shock where we got to our teenage years and we were like, hang on a second, this isn't really what I thought it was going to be. And maybe we're better off just in our fantasy land, just in Bearland, just la-di-da-di-da, having like strong emotional connections to literary characters, and that's somehow better. And then we met our partner, and suddenly, and this is cliche, but it happened, we met our partner in person, we saw them walk into the room, and my heart immediately started going 200 beats per minute. Like genuinely panic attack. That's what it felt like, but it felt very kind of odd and strange, but also a strange reaction to someone you don't even know yet. We became friends, as you do, we started hanging out, and then, you know, 6 months later, they asked us out, and we were like, thank God, because I have been harboring this crush for a very long time. And now we're married. So, you know, romance has worked out for me. And so when I read a romance novel, I love seeing that trope. Because I'm like, oh yeah, I've been there, and it brings back those feelings of like when I first met my partner. And between you and me, I am so glad that we never ended up publishing a romance novel pre-meeting them, because we had no idea. We thought we knew what romance was, and we thought we knew what love was, and no. The reason why I wanted to bring these two books up together is because yes, a romance novel doesn't need to have insta-love in it, but the reason why it works for these two is because these two books tackle taboo topics. So Sig and Chloe are step siblings. Their parents are getting married, so they're technically, you know, by marriage, step siblings, and that's kind of like a ooh. They marketed this as Tessa Bailey's like most taboo book yet, and I'm like, no. Whoever did that hasn't read all of Tessa's work. So my only issue with this book was really the marketing. Whoever was on the marketing for this book, Manic Pixie Dream Girl, no. At no point does Tessa actually use that phrase, and I'm so glad, because when people use it out of context, it just shits me. The taboo nature of Wildcard is that protagonist 1, Gwen, has a boyfriend, breaks up with him, and then ends up dating his dad. So yes, every romance novel doesn't need to include the insta-love kind of structure, but when you're tackling a taboo topic, you kind of need it, because you kind of need to make the reader believe that these two characters need to be together despite their unusual / frowned upon circumstances. Like obviously step siblings, boyfriend's dad, like these are topics where you really go, oh, but then as the writer, you have to be like, no, trust me, like these two have chemistry, these two have emotional compatibility, and they belong together. And that's why Dreamgirl drama worked and Wildcard didn't work. So like I said, there's Gwen, and then we have Sebastian, aka Bash. Now, with that kind of topic of boyfriend's dad, I thought that Elsie would go the same kind of route as, for example, Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas. Elsie Silver goes straight into, they meet at an airport, they have really nice time together, they're snowed in, and so they're playing on the escalators and trying to keep themselves entertained, and in doing that they form like a really solid, strong kind of bond. And it's really, really cute. I really love the opening scene of this book. The first couple of chapters really set up the story. And then we as the reader, we see him text her, and then there's just no response. And we're like, ooh, what's happened? Turns out he put the number in wrong, but in the 8 months that they've been apart, she's moved on. She waited for him to like kind of text, and then she was like, okay, I guess I got ghosted. I've met this guy, I think he's nice, we'll date, but it's not really serious. It's his birthday. Who shows up? His dad. And she's like, oh, I think I've seen this film before. Dreamgirl drama kind of starts the same way. Very cute, meet cute. And we have Sig and Chloe, and they're at this kind of hoity-toity country club. He isn't a member. His car's just broken down, and he's stopped at the club because it's the closest kind of venue. And he goes up to the reception desk and he's like, hey man, can I borrow your phone? My car's broken down. And he's like, only members can use the phone. And he's a bit of a dick. And so then Chloe comes past and she kind of sees the situation. Chloe being rich girl, member of the club, daughter of a wealthy family, grabs, like links her arm in his and is like, play along. And she's just like, hey, you, the reception guy, how are you? You're so nice. This is my guest. He's actually really established and I'm going to escort him through the country club. And they, you know, they get away with it. They go to the bar, she steals a bottle of champagne, they're drinking, and then they go on the golf course, and it's just like a really, really cute, again, kind of bonding moment. They end up parting ways with the agreement to meet back up later because they've both got a dinner to attend to, only to find out that when they arrive at the dinner, it is being hosted by both of their parents who have announced that they're getting married. So at this point in both stories, they've met, it's cute, it's flirty, there's tension, there's kind of like a, ooh, you're different to anyone I've ever met before and you're making me feel things I've never felt before. And then they meet up and there's kind of like the reveal. These books start to divert in quality in the reveal. When Sig and Chloe have that reveal moment, it's very like, yes, it's awkward and yes, they don't know what to do, but there's still like the undercurrent of like, okay, we know each other, we know how to handle this, and I still have respect for you. Whereas in Wildcard, it's just shit hits the fan. And I wanted to read out this segment, chapter 7 is the reveal I've highlighted. In a desperate attempt to make this introduction look a hell of a lot less awkward than it really is, I wipe one sweaty palm on my silky caftan dress before outstretching it towards Bash. His gaze flits down to it and his expression tells me he'd rather do anything but shake my hand. And he does. He shoves his fists into his dark washed jeans and hits me with the world's tightest smile. Nice to meet you, Gwen. awkwardness be damned, I guess. It feels like someone just slapped me. He shows no signs of recognizing me, and the warm rasp I remember in his voice is notably absent. His body language is as closed off as a fucking prison cell. He doesn't even tell me to call him Bash. It appears he's relegated me to Sebastian terms, which honestly pisses me off. Ire surges through me as the shock of the moment wanes. Sure is, I spit, letting a little venom seep into my voice. Because how dare he? That kind of combative, like, oh, this dickhead, this bitch, kind of frigid tension that's like really nasty. Maybe not something you wanna start your kind of readers on, Elsie, because I just immediately was like, oh, I don't actually want them to end up together if this is how they're going to talk to each other. Like, yes, I understand that from her perspective, he never reached out. And then from his perspective, he reached out and she didn't respond. So I understand there'd be like some discomfort, but that kind of language towards each other keeps going. Like, I could forgive if it was just like that kind of first meeting and the reveal and they were kind of like, oh, I hate you. Oh, why didn't you, like, there's just like this anger and this like ugliness in the language and the way they kind of talk to each other. And then you would expect then, okay, that's just for the reveal. And then when there's the second reveal where she ends up having to live in his house, hello, close proximity trope, you would think that the warm-up would be quicker and they would start to be nicer to each other, but they're nasty towards one another up until like this point left. And so by the time they're actually treating each other with respect, there's not enough time to really wrap up the novel, which just made me feel so yuck. Especially because you guys know, if you've seen our previous Elsie Silver videos, we love the Rose Hill series. It's our favorite. We love it more than the Chestnut Spring series. Wild Love, yes, we gave it an A. Wild Eyes, we gave it an S. Wild Side, we gave it an S. And so I pre-ordered this thinking, oh my god, Elsie's writing has just kept on improving, kept on improving, kept on improving. The depths of her characters are amazing. And so of course, I'm going to pre-order Wildcard. Elsie's apparently writing a fourth book and they released the cover. It's called Wildcard and the cover's actually so cute. The cover's actually amazing. And considering my Rose Hill rankings, because Wild Love, A, Wild Eyes, S, Wild Side, S, of course I'm gonna pre-order Wildcard. Of course I am. But I should have known, because we look at the Chestnut Spring series. It goes B, A, B, A, B, S, and then Z. It just didn't hit. The last book in the Chestnut Spring series was just so, it was just, And Wildcard kind of left a similar feeling where it just felt incomplete. The problem with this book isn't the instalove trope. The problem with this book is the characters. The characters are not only unlikable in the way that they speak to each other and the way they foster a relationship, they feel so shallow and so undebate. And I'll give you an example. Gwen, she's a yoga instructor. We see her doing yoga, we see her teaching yoga, but she has no respect for the art form and for the kind of practice of yoga. And that just comes down to Elsie Silver not having done enough research into the practice and into the history and the craft and what it actually means outside of stretching. Like, yoga is not just downward dog, which of course is the only position that gets named by name. Elsie tells us that Gwen has daddy issues, but they're just never developed. We don't actually see the manifestations / presentation of how those, you know, come to fruition and how they present, and we just kind of get told, but we're not shown. And it really kind of icked me because we get told that she's learned yoga, but from what we're seeing, she really has a shallow understanding. Bash is a little bit more developed. We get told he's a pilot and then we get to see him fly a plane, we get to see him in the air. And that's what I'm kind of trying to say with Gwen's character. Gwen was two-dimensional and Bash was like one step above. But the other characters in Elsie's novels, they feel like real in-depth people. Tabitha in Wildslide, oh my god, the amount of shit that that character has had to deal with, she's gone through so much, but you feel it. You feel it, and you can feel it like seep through the pages of like how much she's had to shoulder the weight of expectations and the weight of everything and to step up for her nephew. And with Skylar in Wild Eyes, how she's really also got daddy issues because she kind of had a dadager manage her and steal her money and kind of steal her talent and tell her what she could and couldn't do. And she had a similar kind of dynamic where she was criticized, similar to Gwen, but we actually see that play out, and we see Skylar's reaction to that and how she grows and expands from that. And we kind of missed that with Gwen, because Gwen is new to Rose Hill, so we haven't really seen her through the other books, and so this is kind of the first time we're getting to know her, but we don't know anything about her by the end of the book. So the reason why this book isn't good is because of a lack of character development and the dialogue in between them and how the book is structured and paced. Not because they meet at the start and kind of have this kind of zinging moment like in Hotel Transylvania. Where Dreamgirl Drama got it right, where Tessa got it right, is on page 40. I've highlighted it. After the sparks on the golf course, they're meeting at the dinner, and Sig has realized that Chloe's kind of in this position where her mother talks over the top of her. Sig asks Chloe whether or not she's thought about university, so he's engaging her in the conversation as opposed to in Wildcard, where they just kind of arc up and start ripping at each other. So we kind of get the kind of awkward, ugh, I've met you before, but it's not nasty, and it's just kind of a continuation of, okay, we've both mutually agreed with our eyes that we shouldn't say anything, but I'm not going to talk down on you. Her mother looked at her serenely, but the snap of fire in her eyes was ominous. If you go to Boston, Chloe, you'll do it without my money, because obviously Chloe's talked about Boston University and the music program there. Just like that, her stomach filled with hot, bubbling concrete. There it was. Money was the roadblock she couldn't go past. Without money, she wouldn't be able to rent an apartment, wouldn't be able to simply add food to her family's tab at the country club. She'd be helpless and broke, and she had no idea how to survive like that. She didn't even know how to live alone with money. Not yet. I'll help you get started, Chloe, Sig said, drawing her attention with a meaningful look. A look that said, hey, don't listen to them. You've got this. I'll find you a safe place to live and show you how to get around, how to order takeout or cook, whatever you want. Sig looked at her mother, openly confused. A free ride at her dream school is a huge opportunity, right? This man, I loved him so much, and I was quite interested to see some of the feedback. One thing I saw was that Sig infantilizes her. No, no, he does not. And and this is going back to what I said towards the start of the video. Yes, a lot of the criticism of this is that it's too instalove, blah, blah, blah. But the other criticism is that Chloe is one of the worst protagonists because she's not self-sufficient. And that irritated me because I related to Chloe a lot. She's probably between Chloe and Hannah from Klein and Sinker. If you put those two in a blender, you kind of get me. They are together very, very, very similar to how we kind of present and live our lives. Chloe in particular, because she was never taught how to do things, basic life kind of skills, like Sig has to teach her how to do her own washing. And a lot of the feedback was kind of like, why does he have to teach her how to function? And it's kind of interesting to say that because you've not really considered where Chloe is coming from. And I think it's that kind of really covert, quiet, parental neglect. Like, let's call it what it is. Chloe has, yes, a very privileged upbringing. She grew up very rich, but she was neglected and she wasn't taught life skills. because her mother has fostered this very codependent relationship. And so when Chloe goes, oh, I want to learn how to do this life skill, the mother goes, no, you don't need to know that because I will do it for you, or I will pay someone to take care of that for you. And it's quite abusive in a way, because as a parent, you are meant to foster life skills in your child. And the mother is counting on the fact that Chloe won't leave, because if she keeps Chloe codependent, then Chloe can't escape from the cage that she's been put in. We relate to Chloe a lot, not so much the growing up rich part, but the kind of codependency, power play, not being taught life skills, and our partner has had to teach us certain things. We were buying furniture and we bought a vacuum cleaner and we were vacuuming, and then we didn't realize that the dust had to go somewhere. I don't know what I thought. I just thought like a vacuum cleaner just takes some dust. And we exploded it because I didn't realize that the vacuum cleaner had to be emptied and that it had to be cleaned. And so there's a lot of things that my partner has had to teach me, but you know, I take on that information and I've learned it and now I can apply that skill. And it's not like Sid taught Chloe laundry and then she's like purposefully forgetting. Like that turns into weaponized incompetence. But Chloe's genuinely learning and he's teaching her about finances. And I saw one comment say, why doesn't he just, you know, teach her all of these things at the same time? Like, why is he going so slowly? He's kind of like dragging this out. And I have nothing to say to that other than, yes, of course you don't want to overload someone who has learned that they don't know how to fend for themselves and that they're not self-sufficient. You have to kind of work at it slowly so that you remember it. Because if he was teaching her everything at once, he would have to reteach her things, because no one can take on that amount of information and retain it all and memorize it all in the span of a week. So I really love how Tessa has kind of written these two characters. I loved the book. I put it at the top. I gave it an S rating. There was romance in all the right spots. There was tension in all the right spots. There was a really satisfying conclusion. I'm excited to read the next one. It already came out. It's about baseball. And I just really loved it. I really, really loved it. And so I was so disappointed to see some kind of like negative backlash, specifically putting down Chloe for her presentation of not being able to do things. I think that's actually a little bit ableist in a way, because you're kind of criticizing her ability to take on new information quickly. Like, sorry that not everybody's brain works as fast as yours. So yeah, I really, really loved it. Instalove, yes, but instalove done well. Instalove was not the problem here. Instalove is never really a problem in fiction. It's a great tool to use to get your characters together. And like I said before, when you are tackling a kind of taboo-ish topic, it's definitely something that should be in there, because as the writer, you need to be convincing your reader that despite the circumstances, these two are meant for each other. And when it came to Sebastian, aka Bash, and Gwen, I didn't like them together. That's it for this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you agree with me, let me know in the comments. If you disagree with me, let me know in the comments. The next video we have planned is filming our writing routine. I'm so excited to do this video. If you want to know where we've been, our short story deadline is coming up and we have been writing and writing and writing so much because I really want this short story competition. Again, I can't tell you which one it is because it's anonymous judging. I've never wanted to participate in a short story competition more than I do now. I actually drew the main character. I'm going to cover the name. The main character of the short story that I'm doing. I was working on two. One that I had kind of revived from my writing USB graveyard, And then the other kind of just came to me 2 months ago, and I have not been able to stop writing. So I am focusing on that one, and I do think it's the only one I'm going to submit for the short story competition because it is paid entry and it is $30. So I'm not going to pay $60 for one brilliant story and one underbaked one. But yeah, writing routine, that's coming next time.